Good morning, gang. Happy Saturday morning. Okay, weekend again. Here we go. And of course, it's grocery shopping time for people, right? Okay. Unless, of course, you're on food stamps. Depending on where you are, one of y'all sent me, Circe, you know her, sent me an email saying Massachusetts was going to fund food stamps out of the state coffers. Interesting how they can do that, right? Got it. Okay. Sure. Maybe they're not paying so much money for illegals and decided, hey, maybe citizens should come first. What a concept. Now, this is where it gets interesting. And of course, it all comes down to Friday night follies coming through the Washington shithole. Sorry, there's no other way to put it, the swamp. Okay. I know for certain that there are people that watch this channel that are on food stamps. Okay. I mean, we've got a older viewing audience here. Some retired. Okay. No problem. I'm betting that the people who watch this channel, well, it's a little tough without the food stamps coming in to maybe get some of the things that you normally get. That's the same as those of us that aren't on food stamps. You look at prices and stuff in grocery store and go, how much is this going to cost me? You know, a good way to look at things, Mrs. P and I do this all the time. Pretty much every time we come back from the grocery store, we look at what we spend and figure, okay, how many hours of a minimum wage job would somebody have to work to pay the grocery bill? And you start thinking about that and it floors you, right? You go, holy crap. Don't even get me talking about insurance or rent. Right? But just saying. But I'm betting that the vast majority of people here who need government assistance to get groceries aren't sweating a whole lot. Okay, it's been a week, and I bet they've looked at it and said, you know what? I'm going to go open up that can of green beans and put that on the side of the dinner plate tonight. Or, you know what? I've got all that extra chicken in the freezer. We'll tap into some of that. Or I canned this weekend. I'll make a loaf of bread and put some grape jelly on it that I made, or apple butter or whatever from your fruit trees. And they go, you know what? Okay, no problem. Suffer a little bit, struggle a little bit, like everybody else. Okay. But they're not suffering. Why? Probably because those people who have the foresight to prep aren't going out and spending all their food stamp money on Doritos and Red Bull. They actually bought real food. Yeah. And I'm betting there's a whole bunch of them that don't have a whole lot of sympathy for this debacle either. Because there are a lot of people in this country that are deserving, I guess, it's hard to find a word, to collect government assistance for one reason or another. But there's a ton more that aren't. You know, you're 75 years old and blind, let's just say, for example. You can't work. Okay. Yeah. Fine. And they've got I used the term look, but I just said blind, so that's kind of funny. But then you get the 40-year-old, perfectly healthy, lazy bum who's also collecting the same amount of money. Oh, but I've got 4 kids too, so I need even more. You know, it's like I said the other day about why is it that we don't feed the bears? Because the bears will be used to getting fed by people by someone else and they won't do it themselves anymore. But we're totally okay with feeding the people so they can get used to being fed by somebody else and they won't do it for themselves anymore. Figure that one out. We've got more common sense policies in regards to wildlife than we do to human beings. Welcome to our government. Yesterday, I mean, this is, and again, talking about common sense, this was funny. There's two big things that are coming out of Washington right now to end this shutdown, which I still told you guys yesterday what I think is actually going on, or my theory. Maybe not actually going on, but it's a possibility. The first one, and this is just absolutely idiotic to me, is the Democrats are okay with reopening the government if we add a provision into the CR that extends the Obamacare subsidies for a year. How stupid do you think the people are? Gee, let's extend Obamacare subsidies up until the 2026 elections so you can use it as a campaign deal, so you can lie to your constituents saying that if you don't elect a Democrat, you won't get any more free shit. That's exactly what they're planning on. It's got any Republican that goes, hey, you know what? This is a great idea. We'll kick the can down the road for a little bit. We won't give the hundreds of millions or billions or whatever it is to NPR and PBS. We won't send money to Africa. We're not going to fund illegals, but we'll just be taking care of Americans, right? And in 13 months, you'll be out of a job because all they're going to do then is blame these people for not doing it next year. Basically, it's pretty simple. The Obamacare subsidies need to end. None. Zero. Okay? Obamacare is just another type of insurance that you can buy, whether you get it from United Healthcare or Blue Cross Blue Shield or whomever, or you can get Obamacare, and this is what it costs. Because if it's subsidized by the government, it's still paid for just by somebody else. So the guy who goes to work and has his health plan through United Healthcare gets to pay those crazy premiums, and then also has to kick out of his tax money more money for you, not you personally, okay, the freeloaders that want the Obamacare subsidies. It was never meant to be affordable. It was a lie, like everything else Barack Obama did, and it screwed the people. So that's the first one. Fool's errand if they take the Democrats up on that one. That one should be DOA. The second one is going to be really interesting. You all know the talk about using the nuclear option on the filibuster, okay? And this is changing the rules that they can pass things like a budget with 51 votes instead of 60, okay? So we want to get into mob rule, okay? They want democracy. They don't want the constitutional public. Democracy is mob rule. Remember that, okay? You know, two wolves and a sheep deciding on what's for dinner. But the idea now is, and there's about 24 Republican senators who do not want to get rid of the filibuster. So now what they're trying to do is get this to be bipartisan, where the Republicans that do want to get rid of the filibuster are now courting the Democrats, saying, why don't you vote for us and we'll get rid of the filibuster too? And that way you can go to your constituents and say, look what I did, and they can go to their constituents and say, look what I did. I get where people want to do this. I get both sides of this. You know, oh my God, if we get rid of the filibuster, we can ram through all of Trump's policies, blah, blah, blah. We can get ID to vote. We can get a new census, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? Okay. The only thing is, and this is why I'm against nuking the filibuster, my choice, okay? Whether or not you agree with me is fine. Okay, this one's a real strange issue because there are good reasons to do it. Short term. The long-term point comes when inevitably someday the Democrats are going to retain power or regain power. And where everybody says, oh, okay, if we can do this now, Trump can make sure you have to have ID to vote, illegals won't vote anymore, and we won't count non-citizens in the census, and that'll change the amount of representation for states that are sanctuary states, and we'll never have a Democrat in control again. Okay, that is a problem in itself because checks and balances is kind of what made this country great. This one I will agree, we do not need a king, all right? We do not need one-party rule. We can see what happens when you get one-party rule throughout history. It doesn't do well. But mind you this, there is going to be a day, even if they enact all of Trump's policies, that the Democrats will take control. And when they flip it around and go, there's going to be 13 or 15 Supreme Court justices. Hell, James Carville was out yesterday saying, his quote, when the Democrats win the House, the Senate, and the presidency in 2028, we're putting 15 justices on the Supreme Court. They're already admitting they're going to do it, okay? That's when you're going to see Puerto Rico, that's when you're going to see Washington, D.C. given statehood so they can have more senators, which are inevitably Democrat. That's when the Democrats will pack Congress so that they could never lose. Hence, we go back to them wanting one-party rule. This is where we are. This is how crazy it is. And this is why I've said for years that the only solution, you'll watch this video, 3, 5, 10 years from now and go, damn, he was right. The only solution is balkanization. The United States has run its course. As hard as it is for me to say that, as sad as it is to say it, it's the truth. There is no coming back from this. There is no middle ground. Moderates aren't listened to. You're either far left or conservative, because conservatives are not far right. You're either communist or conservative. Communist or capitalist, one of the two. We're going to have to break this up. But plan accordingly if that comes. Because how long does this shutdown last? We're at 39 days today? What if we get to January 1st? I mean, we're already at the longest one ever. What if it goes 100 days? What if it goes a year? How long does it go until we're in anarchy? How long does it go until people realize we didn't need most of this anyway? And you'll see some cities and states completely collapse. New York City would completely collapse. Chicago would completely collapse. California as an entire state would collapse because everybody there will be, or already is, dependent on government. And when there is no government, do not feed the bears. We go back to that. Just like the food stamp crisis, everybody needs to plan accordingly, prep accordingly. we're in a really weird time. We're feasibly seeing the demise of the greatest country on the history of the planet. Believe it or not, all good things come to an end. We may be living through it. The land will still be here. Some of the people will still have the mindset. But once we get to the point of 51% of the people don't believe in the United States anymore, there is no more country. And then where are you? Because it's not like you can snap your fingers and go somewhere else. Pinball out.